Good morning, everybody. This is the oral presentation for 2020. My topic is systematic tabulation of glycemic index of commonly consumed Sri Lankan food and developed GI-based software. I'm Hettiarachchi from Department of Food Science and Technology. This is my content. To give brief introduction about the glycemic index and its surround, let's focus about this figure. Do you know the more than 80% premature death are happening due to non-communicable diseases like diabetes, cancer, chronic respiratory diseases, and cardiovascular diseases. So the main reason for this death are caused by your inactiveness, alcohol consumption, your busy lifestyle, and your poor dietary habit. If we consider in the dietary habit, it associates with food. So let's focus about our digestive system and its function. Do you know every meal we take will react with enzyme while releasing glucose? But importantly, remember, this glucose response will depend on factors like dietary fiber and resistance starch. If we eat legumes, it will take long time to digest, which means it releasing relatively very low amount of glucose into our bloodstream. Whereas the bread and the food like manioc will extremely increase our glucose response. So this concept called glycemic index. The modern researcher evaluate our food into three categories like low glycemic index, medium glycemic index, and high glycemic index. So problem is how consumer can access this data. Here you can see the country like Australia, they maintain their own glycemic database. Either it is table or electronic database management system. But unfortunately, in Sri Lanka, still we are lacking with such a database. So my objective was systematically tabulate glycemic index, glycemic load, data gained from published research articles, and design database management software targeting consumers. Finally, design glycemic index, glycemic load calculator targeting researcher. So when I go through the methodology, I found my all literature finding using PubMed and Google Scholar. Here I use search terms, traditional rice, yams, legumes, and food. Not only that, I use some abbreviations like GI and GA. So here you can see, as a first step, I filter all download research articles under this criteria. And I finalize 28 research papers, which include abstract, extended abstract, and full text paper. Then move forward to the second step. I analyze all research data and I identify 12 food categories have covered in Sri Lankan context. Then, having this data, I create electronic database management software with using Java language. The special thing is the software have their own unique algorithm. And this software is compatible with almost every Windows version. So let's discuss about the result and discussion part. With all my hard work, I tabulated 208 glycemic index data and 63 glycemic load data. So here you can see the diagram evaluate to summarize all GI data. Especially you can see here the rice. category divided into sub 3 food categories like common rice variety, traditional rice variety, and basmati rice variety with available data. So not only that, here I have identified researchers have used difference method to calculate the glycemic index value even in the same food item. So to clear this confusion, the glycemic spice software provide researcher to clear pathway, giving guidelines and methodology to calculate the glycemic index value according to ISO 26642. So according to ISO standard, this is a basic step of calculation the glycemic index value. First, researcher should take the ethical clearance, then recruit the healthy individuals, and after the giving tested food and the reference food, they take glucose concentration of each individual. Then after the taking all this information, they had the big problem. That is, they didn't have GI calculator to calculate the glycemic index. So we introduced Sri Lankan #1 glycemic index calculator focusing research. Let's see how it's works. Here you can see the main interface of GI calculator. Here you enter the principal's data, and after you selecting the number of the individual, you can click the start button. So after the adding all the individuals data, here this calculator give coefficient variance, glycemic index, incremental area under the curve according to the particular person. But the special thing is this software, if some person coefficient variance is more than 30%, it will eliminate from future study, consider that individual as an outlier. So after the entering all the individuals glucose concentrations, you can get the final GI value. So now let's focus about the glycemic load calculator. Glycemic load calculator is designed here. Not only that, if we consider the glycemic load, it is good nutritional indicator rather than glycemic index. So this glycemic load calculator can use both researcher and consumer. If we focus about the researcher interface, the researcher give facilitate to add new research paper with keeping their ownership. So we can create good database with sustainability. Not only that, the researcher can search any food item to get the GI information. And the researcher can use title of the research paper also. So the benefit is researcher can get all idea without reading abstract of any research paper. When we focusing about the consumer interface, the consumer can search or get glycemic index data here. It gives glycemic index, glycemic load, and nutritional data. So let's consider about my suggestions. Here you see these are the expected beneficial parties. Rather than following the traditional marketing pathway, you can focus about glycemic index. Here we know the food manufacturer always focusing about the standard like ISO, HACCP, and BRC. But if you are following the glycemic index, you can create unique brand in this competitive market. Not only that, the having GI calculator will help to gather all food sample across the Sri Lanka. As a result, we will be able to create and maintain the efficient and effective glycemic index database in future. So in focusing on the conclusion and recommendation, these are important recommendations I highlight in my presentation. Especially, it is important to focus on below food types in future glycemic index calculator. So here is my reference, and don't let your rabbit to run. Connect your belt using concept glycemic index and glycemic load. Thank you.